We're going to take care of business tonight, and that's the bottom line.
And now he's dominating the world of on-demand audio, and he's doing it for the working man.
This is a damn good outlet for me to spew the bullshit off my brain.
Yeah! This is the Steve Austin Show. Unleashed.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the mean streets of Los Angeles, California today. I'm podcasting from my house, 316 Gimmick Street today. We're doing some finishing touches on interior and exterior paint, and I've been trying to do the open of this podcast for about 15 minutes, but my goddamn dogs are making so much racket, especially Callie, that black lab. She's about 5 months old, and she whines and whimpers and yips and barks and just... She's the most vocal dog I've ever had in my entire life, trying to get Moolah's attention so they can play chase, pestering Hershey. Hershey's the alpha female over here for the dog pack. Hershey's regulating on her. She's pissing Hershey off. Hershey's 14 years old. If there's one thing that Hershey can't stand, it's from some upstart pup trying to make a mark on the pack. Hershey said that's her pack, and that's the bottom line because she said so. Anyway, I ain't got shit going on over here. I'll give you a couple stories here in a second. But, hey, today's podcast, I got the white meat babyface from Norman, Oklahoma, my good friend Jumpin Jim Ross. Jim was in Los Angeles for New Japan Pro Wrestling live event in Long Beach, and he stopped by the crib to catch up. And we're just talking about life, the squared circle, and we're talking about the big Cass heel turn, Kenny Omega's future, Jim's return to WWE, and how he ended up calling The Undertaker's last match at Wrestlemania. We talked about all kinds of things, and I don't mean to get too heavy on the Kenny Omega stuff, but all of my guests came by right when Kenny Omega was in town, so he kept coming up, and we kept talking about him. Dude's a hell of a damn worker in the damn ring. We'll see what happens with him. Me and JR cover all that. We're just shooting a breeze. It's the first time I've seen Jim in a long time, and it was good to see him. Good to have him over here at 316 Gimmick Street. A real close friend of mine. He just looked to be doing really good after going through such a hard time a few months ago, and he seems to be in a real good place. And the podcast is just a conversation between two guys, and we didn't really have any agenda. We just started shooting a breeze, talking shit, and just having a conversation. Once we cut off the recorder, I got a chance to catch up with Jim on a personal level. And that's my conversation today. And I'm talking with Jim Ross, the first time I've seen him in a long time. And it's good to see him. And it looks like he's doing as well as he could be doing. And I enjoyed seeing him. Jim, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. And it's always good to see you. Next time you're in Los Angeles doing something for anything, please stop by. Hell, before I get to Jim Ross, God damn it, I tell you what, them dogs tearing the shit out of me. Them son bitches, they're ruling the whole household. I got internet problems. My goddamn internet went out yesterday. I'm trying to send this show to Stacy. Can't log on to my transport system to send a file. The internet went out about a day ago. I went through the whole protocol. My wife went through the protocol of rebooting the system, turning it on, turning it off, restarting my computer. Something's missing. There's no communication somewhere or a lack of communication between 2 points. So the goddamn guy from Spectrum or whatever the hell our internet service comes from is coming to the crib here at 4 p.m. And I can't wait for the sumbitch to get here so I can find out what the fuck's wrong with our goddamn internet. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's when my internet goes out and I can't send my show in. Can't hardly get on the computer to access any information. Right now, I got my trusty iPhone, which is crapping out on me right now. I'm fixing to go get a brand new one. I got my iPhone turned into a hotspot so I can log on to the internet through the hotspot to be able to get my reads, read my open stuff, and all that other bullshit. And my iPhone's crapping out. I'll be sitting there, and all of a sudden my iPhone will just turn itself off. I'll push all the buttons all over it, and it won't come back on. Finally, I'll do a hard reset on it, and this motherfucker will fire back up. And it'll go through the paces, and then it will come back on after it tells me to put in my security code. Boy, you got some nerve, iPhone, crapping out on me and then asking me to punch in my security code so I can get you to work when I didn't turn you off to begin with. And for it to just randomly start fucking up at this point in time, hell, I got that phone probably a year and a half ago max, maybe 2 years. And I keep a case around it at all times. Just bought a brand new case the other day just to protect this goddamn delicate piece of electronic machinery that I communicate with. Telephone calls, text messages, Twitter, Instagram, email, goddamn everything. When your goddamn phone craps out for you, you in harm's way. You can't do shit. This son of a bitch just sees fit to just shut down on me. The other day I went down to the Gimmick store and bought me a new hard case for it to protect it. A little bit of waterproofing, and it's a shock absorber. You know those kind of cases you get. The one I had was gray, and I had worn the fuck out of that thing, so I figured I better get a new one. And because I always seem to lose my smartphone, I figured I'd get a brightly colored one. Back in the day, I used to use that blaze orange model, but they didn't have no more orange ones. So my wife was out shopping, and she picked me one up. She said it's red. I said, well, red's a pretty bright color. I'll take the red one. Sure enough, she brings it back, and I'll be goddamn, it's red, but it's pretty close to being pink. So you got the world's toughest SOB walking around with almost a pink case on his iPhone for protection. Now, I can see the sumbitch from a mile away whenever I lose it or misplace it, but I wish it was a little bit more red-colored, and I wish you would have got me an orange one, but nonetheless, I got a new case because the other one was fucked up, and I didn't want any harm coming to my iPhone. Now, my iPhone's just crapping out on me, turning on and off, not dependable. You can't have that. You got to have a dependable system. I'm a global icon and a national treasure, goddammit. When I need to call somebody, I want to be able to call them. When I want to email somebody, I want to be able to email them. If I want to text somebody, tweet something, send an Instagram picture, I want to be able to do it. Goddammit, iPhone, don't crap out on me. I'll jump over to a Samsung if you make me, goddammit. The trouble, just the bullshit. I should, you know what? I'm going to sell this motherfucker. No, I'm going to give it away. No, I'm going to throw it away. I'm just going to get me a goddamn flip phone. I think that's the easiest solution to this problem. Just get a flip phone, just talk to a motherfucker, and it's done. Anyway, hey, speaking of my Instagram account, the other day I was over at the grocery store, underground parking, and I got my Chevy truck, my 03 Z71, and my 95 Bronco out there blocking the street so nobody parks in front of my place. Well, my wife was in the SUV, so I got my little 2003 Ford Focus with 65,000 original miles, buckled my seatbelt, went down to the grocery store and got some groceries. When I came out of the store, I was pushing my grocery cart, had 3 bags of healthy food as I'm on a fitness regimen, diet, eating program to get ready for Broken Skull Challenge, which will start in less than 2 weeks, getting ready for the heat out there. And I was coming up on my metallic P Ford Focus, and I said, God damn, look at that motherfucker. Driver's side window still off the track, rolled all the way down. You leave this motherfucker in a parking lot, you ain't got to worry about locking it up, rolling the window up, because ain't nobody going to break into it. It was dirty as fuck. It's been sitting out here in the weather for about 2 months. It needs to go to the car wash, but I can't take it to the car wash because the driver's side window will not roll up. I'm too stupid to fix it, and I ain't got time to take it to the shop, so the sumbitch is dirtier than shit. So anyway, I said, this would be a prime opportunity to take a picture of this exotic supercar and post it on my Instagram account, Steve Austin BSR. Shit, I took so many pictures, that metallic P motherfucker, people thought it was a goddamn supercar or something. People would come up to me and they said, what kind of car is that? Is that a new model? I said, ain't no goddamn new model. It ain't a supercar. It's a motherfucking Ford Focus, 2003 model. I said, by the way, it is for sale if you got $8,500 cash. I don't think I'm going to get $8,500 out of some bitch. But anyway, I digress. That little fucking Ford Focus. I went somewhere today. Oh, I had to go get my movie physical today, this morning. As I speak, it's Wednesday. afternoon. You're going to download this on Thursday or Friday. Every year before you film something or before every project, you got to go and get a physical. They take your blood pressure. They don't really do anything else. They listen to your heart, your lungs, all that bullshit. You fill out some paperwork. They make sure basically that when you walk in, you ain't got rigor mortis or you ain't dying. And turns out I passed the physical with flying colors. But I drove over there to get that physical, and the doctor's office had moved locations. I parked in a new spot. Hell, here on the streets of Los Angeles, California, you drive in a badass, shiny, exotic supercar like the 203 Ford Focus. You think, goddamn, I should get me one of those, what do they call those little gimmicks you put on the steering wheel to keep people from driving your car off? Put a low jack on that motherfucker. Just get extra insurance. Ain't nobody gonna fuck with a metallic P Ford Focus. Hell, the other day I rode somewhere and I was gonna go do something. I stopped by my house, just left the car running out there by the driveway. Hell, one thing led to another. I left the son bitch idling on the streets of Los Angeles here in Marina del Rey for about 15 or 20 minutes. Shit. If I'd have put a goddamn sign on there that said, steal me, taped a $100 bill to the steering wheel, and had a full tank of gas, ain't nobody gonna steal that motherfucker. So I guess that little motherfucker is fun to drive. It's a good little car, front-wheel drive. If you're interested in it, if you want to buy it from me, it is for sale. Just call me at 1-800-555-1212. Leave me a voice message. I will call you back, and we'll see if we can negotiate a little bit, haggle between $8,500 and what you would like to pay for the car, or send me an email to questions@steveaustonshow.com and make a cash offer on the car. I want $8,500 for it. I'm pretty firm. I know you're probably thinking, Steve, I just looked at NADA, and I just looked at, what's that other car thing that you get prices on? usecar.com, whatever the fuck it is, and they said that the retail value for that car is only $1,500. Well, I don't know about that. That may be what the book value is, but the fact that this car with new brakes, a tune-up, a new motor mount, all the shit that I did to it after I bought it from my mother-in-law when I thought it was in picture-perfect A1 condition. Not so fast, my friend. Dumped another 2 G's in this cocksucker. I want $8,500 for it. If you got it, send it. I'll ship you the car and the title too, and I'll also send you an 8x10 autograph. Anyway, enough about that bullshit. Somebody's calling me on my phone from a gimmick number. I'm going to block that motherfucking call. Of course, my phone's off when someone randomly calls me, but I know it's a prank call. It's probably some collector or someone trying to sell some shit soliciting. Don't never call my phone number and solicit shit, because I ain't got no time for you and I ain't got no money for your ass either. Anyway, goddamn, I digress. I got carried away with the goddamn opening of the show, but anyway, as you know, I have JR coming up, and if you want to hear some breakdown and analysis of this past Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view, a little bit of Raw and a little bit of Smackdown, stay tuned after the show, because Wade Keller of Pro Wrestling Torch checks in, and we just start shooting the breeze. We talk a little bit about the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view and a little bit of Raw and Smackdown, and make some analogies and comparisons, and it's always fun talking to Wade, who is coming to Podcast 1 in just a couple of days. Anyway, before we get into conversation with my old buddy Jim Ross, I got to ask you, are you hiring? Anyone listening looking to fill a job? If so, then you need ZipRecruiter.com so that you can find the best candidates for the position you need to fill. Great talent is important to a successful business, and with ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100-plus job sites with just one click, and let ZipRecruiter basically do the rest. Their powerful technology efficiently matches the right people to your job, and that's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter does not depend on candidates finding you. ZipRecruiter finds them. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. And here's the best part. You don't have to mess with sorting through emails or juggling calls to your office. You can simply screen, rate, and manage candidates all in one place with ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use dashboard. Find out why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, you can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. You heard me right. I said free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/Steve. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Steve. One more time for the hearing impaired. To post your job for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/Steve.
Hey, it's Shaq. And when the NBA offseason explodes like it just did, you know we're all over it on the Big Podcast with Shaq. All summer, we're bringing you the biggest guests from the NBA, the biggest stars in Hollywood, and tons of great laughs. We're way bigger than a sports podcast. So check us out this week, the Big Podcast with Shaq, with new episodes every Monday at podcast1.com.
Steve Austin, Unleashed.
Hell, I'm rolling sound. I'm at 316 Gimmick Street. Got my longtime friend, Jumpin Jim Ross, white meat babyface from Norman, Oklahoma, over here at the house. Remodeling is completed. Still trying to get some furniture up in here. I've been talking about this damn thing for 6 or 8 months. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Jim, you can look around. You can still see I need some furniture. I need some pieces. We're a little echo in this room. Let's try not to blow it up like we're at a Wrestlemania with our volume. God dang. Good to see you, kid. How are you?
I'm good. Good to be here. Thank you.
What are you doing out here in sunny Los Angeles?
Oh, a little work, chasing a booking, chasing a payday, same old stuff.
What are you doing? Doing some voiceovers with Josh Barnett with New Japan?
Yes, sir. Access TV and Mark Cuban writes good checks, and they cash, and I like them, and good group of guys to work with. So Josh and I are doing a lot of New Japan work, as some folks know, of late, and have been enjoying it.
Hey, I know you re-signed with WWE, but just in doing the New Japan Pro Wrestling stuff, what's been the difference for you, just calling-wise, watching the matches, and doing the voiceovers?
Every product, as you know, even back in the territory days, the territories all had their own identity, kind of representative of the bookers and the owners and their image and feel of the business. I think the WWE, obviously the biggest in the game, but there's a lot of entertainment sizzle in a WWE product, more entertainment sometimes than a traditional pro wrestling company would offer. I think that New Japan is more of that traditional pro wrestling company in theory. So even though some of their guys are doing some things that I question psychologically, but they're still basically a pro wrestling company that makes their money off of ticket sales. So I think that the in-ring product in New Japan is a little bit more old school oriented than anybody else that's on TV right now.
So, like when you and Josh are calling these things, y'all go to the studio, the matches have already happened, and y'all are laying down the soundtrack, correct?
Yeah. The matches happened, a few weeks earlier, not long. We cut the delay down. When I first got there, we were like 6 months or so behind. And now the raw footage of these events come into Access, and Access TV is actually editing those matches. So we're not on a big delay at all. The last weekend, on Friday night, we aired the big match of Omega and Okada from the Dominion, the 1 hour draw. And so that only happened a couple of weeks ago. So that aired last Friday on Access before the big weekend in Long Beach. So we cut that back a lot, but I'm not smart enough, Steve, to change my style. It's like if you go back in wrestling. You're not going to say, okay, Steve, can you be a high flyer now? You're going to, the ground attack is what you do, but you would be what you were and what you are. And that's kind of what I am. Maybe that's been a problem for me at some times in my career. I don't know, but I like to think that my style is still reminiscent of exactly what it was. You can only provide lyrics for the music you hear. And if a match, I've seen this, I told this to guys before, you got to give me something, and I'll try to make it better. But you got to give me a little something.
Now, when you guys are calling these matches, like you said, you just called Okada Omega 2, 6-minute Broadway. Did you or do you like to watch the matches before you call them, or you see them right there face value and call it like you see it?
I have never watched or previewed a New Japan match before voicing over. I just believe in my mind's eye, maybe it's my old school stubbornness, that I'm cheating. My best work has always been my live work.
I agree.
I can't make my best work in voiceovers comparable if I've already previewed the show, because then I precondition myself. That's like me reading the spoilers. I told somebody the other day, said, the only spoiler I want to read about in the goddamn internet is Don Jardine. That's spoiler. The rest of them, I don't need to know the end of the movie. Why is the obsession, well, and they'll all tell you that do that for a living, I get it. Well, our competitors do it, so we got to do it to keep up. Okay, well then you do it, but I ain't got to read it. I was looking at coming over to your house today on my phone that this week is the 19th anniversary of Foley being tossed in the Hell in a Cell by The Undertaker. 19 years ago on this date as you and I are talking. And if I'm glad that I didn't know he was going to take that bump, because I'm not sure that call that some people think is really iconic, whatever, lack of a better term, I don't know what it would have been like, because I know I'd have been thinking about it all the way through like overthinking it. But what you heard was real.
Right.
So I want to try to replicate what you hear is real theory in my Access voiceovers. And the only way I can do that is just be clean and not preconditioned.
So if you're going to be doing voiceovers in the WWE studio, watching some old footage, you might have seen the match just because it was back in the day and they brought you in to call the match. But is there anybody in your ears producing you?
I went to the studios and did the UK special for WWE, and I had a producer in my ear, but he was very, and they did a good job, but basically just nuts and bolts, count you in, count you out. If you misspeak, which can happen, then you have the ability in a voiceover session to go pick it up.
Okay. But
other than that, not much. They let you do your work.
So same thing with Access TV. I think they pretty much just give you and Josh free reign to do that, right?
Absolutely. No, Access made him give us more free reign. They're not as refined as WWE. Now, look, I'll tell you this. I worked for a lot of really good companies over the years, TBS, and, working even for Cowboy. A lot of guys. I've had good jobs. But I've never been treated nicer than I've been treated at Access TV. Great people. Really, really good people. And they let you do your work. That was decided when I signed on. I said, I'm a little old school and I'm kind of hard-headed. Can you work with me on this producer thing? How about we just count you in and count you out? I said, you got it. Good idea. Done deal. Let's go. So that's kind of what we've done. But they protect me. The biggest challenge for me is enunciations, because I respect the business still, Steve, like you do, and you don't want to screw up somebody's name, for God's sakes. That's like signing an autograph to a kid, and their name is DeAndre. Well, I may have to ask DeAndre how you spell your name, because I don't want to screw it up.
Right.
And so it's kind of the same thing. I had to learn, and so if I screw up a name in a match, and I'm rocking and rolling, they just let me keep on going. But then I'll go back and give them some wild lines to make sure I said Shinsuke Nakamura correctly.
Right. Towards the end of your announcing days with WWE, was Vince more in your ears than he's ever been before? Was he demanding more out of you? Was there more information to process or to put out there because there's so much going on?
There's, without a doubt, I don't know if he was in my ear more or not, but I can tell you unequivocally that there was more information to process.
Yeah.
And to be in that lead role on a WWE television program far exceeds bell-to-bell play-by-play. So, and that's for better or for worse. Some people are going to say, well, I knew there was something wrong. And it's television. It's the way it is. If you listen to, I love to go back and listen to old football games, the old Keith Jackson, Chris Schenkel days, and I listen to their broadcasts and how pure they are and how simple they are. Fast forward to now. All these announcers got all these things to talk about, and they got to work stuff in. There's value added. There's promotional considerations. There are all kinds of ways to make more money, more information, get them to the website, blah blah blah. We're all doing it. So there was a lot more added to the plate. I think somebody told me, and I don't know if it was accurate or not, that one of the reasons that Morrow was challenged on SmackDown was the plethora of information that he had to kind of be the point guard for. And some guys are better at that than others. I'll tell you, Michael Cole's a lot better at it than I am. I'm glad I'm not in a position where I have to have all these things, because where do you how do you get them all in? When do you get them all in? And how do you get them all in and not disrespect what the boys are doing in the ring? The ball's in play. I don't need to be talking about Twitter.
Right.
So it's a real delicate balance, and it's damn sure not an easy job in today's world. So my hat's off to Michael Cole. I think he does. I think he's better at it than me on managing information. And it's if you can't manage information, you can't be the lead guy on a WWE team.
Right. By the time this podcast will have dropped, New Japan will have already came to Long Beach on July 1st and 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
As we speak, that date is a couple of days away.
Yep.
You looking forward to that event?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm still a fan. I'm still some of my issues about today's product that being influenced by the social media applies to me too. It's not that this is the old pot calling the kettle black cliche. I am challenged to do great work at this live event coming up, and by the time somebody hears this, they're going to say, "Well, JR, you shit the bed," or "JR, you did a pretty good job." That's the goal is to go kill it, obviously, always, because I look at social media and I see and I mentioned Morrow. I love Morrow's work, and he's doing a great job. But it's like Morrow's the greatest announcer since JR. And I get these things in the past tense, like my career's dead, or I'm dead, and I'm kind of alive. And so I want to go out and prove to some people that may not have heard my live work as much as others that the old dog can still hunt a little bit. It's still wrestling. It's still getting talent over and telling the story. But and the fans got to understand some of my best work was during the Attitude Era. And I saw Triple H at RAW in L.A., and we were talking about rosters and stuff. And I said, well, I'll tell you, buddy, I'll take the Attitude Era roster compared to anybody's roster ever in this company's history to date. Because he didn't disagree either. And we had depth. We had quality depth. We had main event depth. We had guys all over the top dog. So I thought that was great. And I don't know if I feel that now. Is the internal competition where you want it? Is it really as much? It seemed like maybe the women have more internal competition with two brands in RAW and SmackDown than the guys. So I'm enjoying this renaissance. I'm enjoying the fact that I'm going to be part of this historic event as it would play, and I want to do a good job. So, and a lot of it comes back to ego. If somebody said, well, Steve, if you had one more match, your one more match would be, you'd want it to be the best match you ever had. And if you didn't want it to be that way, then you shouldn't even go take the booking, right?
Right.
So that's my deal. I've had a chance to call some great stuff, and I'm going to bring my A game every time, and I think these shows will be entertaining for you. Even a crotchety-old bastard like you might like them.
Hey, you were in the locker room the other night when WWE was in the Staples Center.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been in L.A. for a couple of days. There was rumors that I was spotted out in the parking lot. As I said on a previous podcast, I wasn't nowhere near the building. I was over here in my damn house. So what was the vibe there? Was it, back in the day, man, I always say back in the day, but in the Attitude Era, and I will back up what you said, that roster right there was one of the deepest in the history of the business. And you got a lot of guys that are already in the Hall of Fame from that crew, but you also got some future Hall of Famers that ain't been announced, but they're going to be in that Hall of Fame. That's how deep that roster was, and that's a testament to how much money we were drawing. But anyway, what was the vibe you got as you went back, being gone as long as you've been gone, and come back in a major venue, the second largest market in the United States? What's the feeling you got from the boys and the girls backstage?
I have to remember my age and my tenure, that a lot of the day stars were young kids when they first discovered JR, for better or for worse. And, the one thing was, a lot of guys, I hope I get you to call one of my matches. That was the bottom line of most of it was, it's great to see you back. Hope you get to call one of my matches sometime. And that's always nice to hear, because they want my voice and some of their work, and that's great. It's like me singing their music. It's like an old, I might be making the Holiday Inn circuit with my band, but then somebody wants me to sing one of their songs. It's kind of cool. So that was kind of the deal, and it's just looking for advice. I just think that, and I know some cowboy, wrestlers had rather be treated like athletes than actors. I never was allowed to say dressing room on a Mid-South broadcast because he'd say, God damn it, actors. Liberace will use a dressing room.
Locker room.
A wrestler uses a locker room.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that happens once, so I'm trying to say locker room. That's my deal. So that was his philosophy in that regard, and that was my teacher, so that's how I learned. But, the kids are, the attitude was good. Guys are good, glad to see me, and I'm glad to be back. And, I've had good bookings. I had those two British kids at the takeover event in Chicago, and they had a hell of a match. Those two young kids did.
Yeah. God dang, I can't remember the names.
Pete Dunne. And Tyler Bate. Mm-hmm. Two nice British boys that worked their ass off. And it showed you that greatness can come in many packages. They slowed down. They told a story. They may have had the most fundamentally sound match of the entire night at that takeover event, arguably.
I thought they did.
They did a good job. I had a funny story. You'd appreciate this, knowing my crotchiness sometimes. I go back over there, and I go to Chicago, and I big weekend, and so I'm going to go do this match, and I go to the TV, the building, and go to catering. So these two guys, Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, are sitting in catering, and I see them, and there's some more guys sitting at the table, so I summoned one to the other table, and so I was talking to them. I said, first of all, you guys broke kayfabe pretty easy. They looked like I was being serious, I said, I'm going to tell you, here's all I'm going to tell you. You've heard this before, and it's probably true. It is true. This is the biggest opportunity of your life. Big audience, big show, great building, but it's also the biggest opportunity of my life because I'm coming back to work, and you need to give me something. I need something special tonight. And so you guys think about that. Here's the opportunity for all of us to get over and get back over and get, whatever the word is, whatever you want to do, whatever word you need to hear to motivate your ass.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I'm coming back to work, and I've got one match tonight. It's yours. Give me something, and I'll give you something back. And I had no idea. And I was half-assed bullshitting them, but, I still wanted them to know that it was important to me. Their match was important to me. Yeah, I did Rock and Austin, 3 of them. How about that? Wrestlemania main events. But for today, I only got those memories of Steve and Rock. I'm not going to do those anymore.
Yeah.
What's at hand for me in my life is tonight and you guys. So take that. It's special for all of us. And coming off my wife Jan's death, and, it's been an emotional year, so I was ready to go, boy. So that's how I approach all these assignments now, man. I'm going to go out there and if nothing else, show myself I can still get the job done, basically.
God dang, man, this is the first time we've seen each other since Jan passed.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, man, I called you right when all that stuff was going down.
Sure did.
Is it getting any better or getting any easier? I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it's getting better, Steve. It's you think that, she was my partner, and you hear all this stuff, these. You roll your eyes at some of these talk shows, I married my best friend and all that stuff. Well, if you're lucky in life, you get to do that.
Yeah.
Some of us, it takes more at-bats.
Yeah.
And, but when I married her, it was just perfect. And I had almost 24 years. And she went through everything, 3 bouts of Bell's palsy, the death of my mother, my father, all those deaths on the roster, Owen, Brian Pillman, and then it wasn't a big deal where we all had cell phones. Well, my home phone rang all the time. And more often than not, she answered it because it's her home too, so it could have been her mom calling, for example. And, talent's calling at all times of day and got dilemmas and issues. So she was just the best coach's wife there was, and you've been to our house.
Yeah.
She said, well, Steve's coming over, all I'll do is laundry. Remember, she'd do your laundry.
Yeah.
She didn't, and she wasn't above that.
Yeah.
We didn't have a housekeeper do it. We did. She did it.
Yeah.
And she'd cook. I had a lot of guys come over. Every time I see that cover, that cookbook we did, you and me and Rock on the cover, right there in our kitchen.
Yeah.
I remember that just vividly. So it's been hard. I think they're filing, the DA's filing negligent homicide charges in this 17-year-old kid in Norman, and then this process starts all over. So to answer your question, yeah, I'm moving on. I'm moving forward as best I can, but then there's days where things like that comes up that you got to deal with that opens the wounds again. So you got to start healing again. But I just got to move forward. You know, Barry Switzer told me, a lot of people I've said this story before. Switzer said to me, JR, we're all dependent on you because you know it's a damn shame your wife died. She was a hell of a woman. But she's dead and you're not. You got to live. She wants you to live. And so I think there's something to be said to that. You know, I got to live. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to do good things, and I'm going to do some of my best broadcasting work. My book's coming out in October. I got that to look forward to. So I'm looking at the glass half full instead of half empty. But I was telling him before we went on the air, I very rarely get upset anymore about things I can't control. It ain't worth it. I only got so much passion left, so I'm going to use it for the good stuff instead of the bad stuff. Simple as that.
And that was an interesting statement by Coach Switzer, though. Very true. I mean,
yeah,
you got to live, and she would want you to live.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She was full of life. And, you know, when the doctor said we kept waiting, and miracle, and he said, JR, what you got to understand, he got to pull on the side, he said, she's not going to know who you are. And she's going to have to be fed. She's going to have to be bathed. She's going to have to be tended to 24/7. And is that something that you and she would want? And we knew the answer to that. No, hell no. You know, she was coming back from the gym. She goes to the gym 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
And great shape, eat good, no drugs, no booze. But she was full of life. And she would not have wanted to be just a vegetable. So that's, the funny thing is that I'm told that they had to do the medical examiner took some time to get the medical results back on her because the family or the legal team or whatever, I'm not sure, wanted to make sure she wasn't on drugs or alcohol coming home from the gym on her Vespa. You know, because people are very known to drive Vespas home from the gym drinking.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Big epidemic. So we've got not a fight on our hands. Of course, she wasn't drinking, and they had found some stuff in her system that would give you the impression she was on some drugs until they found out that it was the drugs that the hospital gave her to maintain her organs for harvesting.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a sobering goddamn statement, pal. We're going to harvest your wife's organs on Friday. I don't really need to know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jeez. So I'm doing better, and, friends, you're right there from the get-go, and as you always were. We try to be that way for each other over the years, so I'm hanging, man.
When y'all met and then became a couple, mm-hmm. and then you got married, like, did Jen follow the business of wrestling back in the day, or was it new to you because you came into her life?
She was aware of it, but not a follower, and she became a real fan.
I knew she loved it. She was very passionate about it.
She loved it.
She loved all the guys. She was just, everybody knows how big of a sweetheart she was.
Oh, yeah, she was great.
Was it interesting, bringing her up to speed about the business or letting her absorb it at whatever speed?
Yep.
How did you smarten her up, or what was that process?
She heard me on the phone and talking to everybody in the business, from Vince McMahon to Bill Watts, and had Watts in her home, and
was she fascinated by the business, though, just the way it worked?
Yeah.
As she got more and more knowledge.
She's like a lot of people today. They like the soap opera, behind the scenes, off the radar information that they can solicit, read, acquire through the internet and social media. And she used to get it firsthand.
Yeah. So
she was kind of enchanted by all that stuff. And then when she got to know a lot of the talent's wives, significant others, so forth, then the roots got a little deeper. Because since she had an emotional investment in these people, because she got to know the wives or whatever. So she had great respect for the talent and the business in general. Her big goal, she had 2 goals this year. We talked about this early in the year. She wanted to come to WrestleMania and walk the red carpet at the Hall of Fame, because she had already got all of her Louis Vuitton stuff. She was a big Louis Vuitton person. God almighty, I got a room full of that, and none of it fits me, by the way. So, And then she wanted to hear I'm making your point. She said, I can't wait to hear your pop when you get introduced at WrestleMania. Well, I hadn't even signed a contract yet. So she was under the auspices that WWE and I would come to an agreement, and I would go back, get my jersey back, and go back on the team.
Yeah.
And that by doing that, she could come to walk the red carpet at the Hall of Fame and then hear my pop at the event. So we didn't get to do that, but I'm still a firm believer, without sounding too crazy, that she saw it, she felt it, but just her presence wasn't there. So, you know, made it. I'm glad I didn't sign that contract till Friday night before WrestleMania. I didn't know I was going to. I wasn't done. Did not have a done deal, and I sure as hell didn't know. I didn't sign under the auspices. Well, if you'll sign the contract, you get to call the last match. I didn't care what match I called. If you're going to get it signed at WrestleMania, go do it.
Right.
It's an honor to be a part of that deal, especially in my situation where I've been so disconnected from them for so long. It's a great reunion for me. But then they said, well, Vince wants you to call the last match. Well, I said, okay, what's the last match? Because it could have been a lot of matches, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be Taker. Oh, so when he told me it was Taker's last match, obviously my pulse quickened, business picked up, as I might say, and I also thought, oh my God, this could be Mark's last one. Taker going on last, and, you know, could be it. And then the way it all played out, it looks like it was. I don't know if it is or not, but the whole thing took a big meaning for me, you know. So Jan's absence, she'd only been dead a few days.
I know. I was, man, when you said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and fulfill my bookings and go do what I was signed up to do, I didn't know how to take it, because you don't know how you'd react, man, in the same shoes.
You know, there ain't no mourner's manual. There ain't no manual that tells you textbook how to grieve. This is grieving 101. You know, it's like right now, you know, people. I had a woman the other day tell me, have you started dating yet? And I said, oh, not really. Then I had another one tell me, well, another woman give me her advice, unsolicited, God bless them, can't live with them, can't live without them type deal. Well, I'm sure in a year or so when you start seeing other women, you know, maybe this will be easier. And I'm thinking, so I got two sets of rules here now. I got one that I should have already been back in the hunt, right?
Yeah.
I got another that says you need to wait another year. So there ain't no right. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. So all you can do is.
I'm thinking that's the furthest thing from your mind right now.
Yeah. Hey, I want to get involved in more drama and more high maintenance. And, you know, if I could guarantee myself someone that would quasi measure up to Jan, then yeah. But I'm unfortunately, any woman that associates herself with me is going to always be in that unfortunate position. You're going to be compared to the last one. And the last one can't be replaced.
When you got the heads up that you were going to do the commentary for Undertaker's match, as you saw the situation play out, in your mind, is he done? Just in your opinion.
I kind of think so. You know, our business, you're one of the few guys that actually said, I'm done and done.
I didn't want to say I'm done.
Yeah.
I had to, and I did. And we didn't announce that that was going to be my last match. You knew it was going to be my last match, Vince. Maybe just a handful of other people, but nobody on that damn roster really knew that was going to be my last match. And yeah, I rode off in the sunset and I stayed gone.
Yeah, you kept your word in that respect. And so did Shawn Michaels. His credit, he's had 10 opportunities, I bet, to come back and do something big.
Yeah.
Make a great payday. Probably a 7-figure payday if he wanted it.
Yeah.
And he would earn it at WrestleMania. But he says, I'm not doing it anymore. So I admire that. You know, and I, of course, worked for my big mentor, Cowboy Bill Watts, retired and came out of retirement multiple times. Every time he needed a boost in business, he brought himself back. So, you know, I don't know. I think I was glad to get that gig, and I'm thinking that Taker probably is done. And if that is the case, then I'm honored that he and Vince saw the confidence in me to want me to be part of that soundtrack, be a part of that deal. It was great for me. And here, this first thing, it's a funny deal. I never saw a TV format all day. I got there, and you know, at the stadium, and finally got all my stuff together, and where I was going to be. And I talked to Taker a little bit. I talked to Taker. He was on the bus. We didn't even talk about the match. I never asked him if he was going to go over. I never asked him if he was going to not. I didn't ask him if there's going to be anything special to do. We just shot the breeze. And, of course, he knew Jan as well. Yeah. So we talked about her a little bit, and I didn't want to bring him down, and I didn't want to come down, so we kind of hugged, and I went on about my merry way, but I never found out, he's going to go over past 20 or past 30. We're going to put 30 in, he's going to catch one, whatever. Nothing. And I never found it out. And I never even saw a format. I didn't know how long they were even scheduled to go. I went out there and sat down, did my thing, and saw the monitor and just called it as he saw it.
Right.
I wish it had been, I'm not a big fan of the three-man booth because it's not the people, it's the crowdedness of it.
I agree.
I think it's smoother to listen. I think it's a show that's easier to listen to and one that is easier to retain information if you're not hearing too many voices. So it's not an indictment on the 3 people or 4 people.
No.
It's just too many
number.
people. Yeah, the
number of people.
That's it.
Yes, I agree. What was it feeling like walking to the ring? I mean, with everything that happened?
Surreal.
Yeah.
Surreal. And here's the thing. I have yet to go back and see that entrance. And, I saw people when I was walking the ring crying. Oh, there's OJR. And his wife just died. Hell, I was almost ready. I couldn't look at him because I was going to cry. So I really tried to stay focused on that announce position. My funny thought was, don't trip and fall, and don't embarrass yourself. And but it was a little bit surreal. I had to really fight to not get emotional. It was just hard because people were looking me in the eye that knew me. A lot of those VIP type people in the front row, they knew her and they were crying. So she, Jesus, God, I can't look. I got to get there and get my job done. I can't be an old fool, I can't be start crying. So it was emotional. But it was very exciting. And again, it shows you the old man's booking acumen. When that son of a bitch is on, he's on.
Right.
He put me in a position to get the most emotional return on the JR character that he could get. The last match. And here comes that music. I was unannounced. I was unadvertised. And it was a real surprise. And social media, I don't think he got too much on it. They knew I was coming back, but wasn't sure, and this, that, and the other. And but anyway, it was good. It was I told somebody, I said, how'd you like your booking? I said, if I had been the booker myself, I couldn't have booked myself better. It was the best booking I could have gotten.
Right.
And it's irrelevant about the finish or should take her. Oh God, we're just killing each other. Well, he should have won. This should have won. He sold too much. What now? Oh God! Just slap the shit out of me, will you? While you're at it, just let me go call a wrestling match, and don't worry about the finish or the returns or next week or next month. Easy.
All right, we're going to take a pause for the calls and help out the sponsors who let me do this show for you twice a week for free, and then we're going to come back and talk to JR about his podcast, The Ross Report, and his take on Big Cass turning heel on Enzo Amore, Samoa Joe's current run at WWE, and Kenny Omega. But like I said, let me say thanks first to TrueCar, one of the longtime sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. And if you're in the market for a car, then you need to check out TrueCar. TrueCar gives you the price and information you need to feel confident about your purchase. When you register at TrueCar, you'll see what other people in your local area paid for the car you want. And from there, you can connect with a local TrueCar certified dealer and enjoy a more confident car buying experience. TrueCar shows you real pricing on actual inventory, so you see competitive pricing offered you by TrueCar certified dealers for vehicles that are actually on their lots. And you'll also see all the dealer incentives before you get to the lots, so you can feel confident about that price when you show up. TrueCar makes car buying easy, no matter if you're looking for a brand new or a used vehicle, and the stats do not lie. Over 3 million cars have been sold to TrueCar users by the TrueCar Certified Dealer Network. There are over 13,000 dealers in that network with some 700,000 pre-owned vehicles available. So do yourself a favor and go to TrueCar for your next car buying experience. TrueCar doesn't just make the process easier, it'll also save you some money. TrueCar users save an average of over $3,000 off MSRP. So when you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a better car buying experience. Some features not available in all states.
There are 120,000 unsolved murder cases in America.
It was the next day that I found out from my parents what had happened, that my sister was killed.
Each one is called a cold case.
Sometimes you have to look really closely to find the evidence.
Damn, I killed her.
Damn it, I killed her.
Cold Case Files, the podcast.
Garcia is walking into the home of a real monster.
I was nervous. I realized what kind of person I was dealing with.
It's a goosebump moment.
Download new episodes every Tuesday on the Podcast One app or subscribe at Apple Podcasts or podcastone.com.
Steve Austin. Unleashed.
What have you been talking about lately on your podcast?
Well, as this airs, last week I had the irrepressible Jim Cornette on there.
How was that?
Oh, buddy, he is probably as consistently as entertaining a guest as one could ask for in the podcast world. He's got his own podcasts. He's doing a couple of podcasts a week. And then this week, I got Dave Meltzer on there to talk about the New Japan weekend in Long Beach, all that stuff and everything. And Meltzer knows more about everything than pretty much anybody. And he's a great student of the New Japan culture. And that's kind of why I really enjoyed working with Josh Barnett, because he trained there, he wrestled there, all the MMA stuff he's done in Japan and New Japan. He's headlined a Tokyo Dome show. So he's got a good feel for the culture and great submission recognition, which is really good for me. And but Dave has got that great product knowledge as well. So we're going to talk about that and all kinds of other stuff.
Will you ask him about that 6 1/4 match
Yeah.
that Omega Okada had on number 2? Because
I
6 1/4.
Tough. I called it. I liked it, but I don't know what 6 1/4 means. Is it? If you look at it strictly on the symbolism of it, it's the greatest match ever since the ratings have been done on the Wrestling Observer site.
Yes.
That covers a lot. And look, and the Wrestling Observer's been around forever, and Dave's done a terrific job, without question.
And he's highly respected.
As by everybody that's got any sense. And I don't have their egos aren't out of condition. But I don't know what that means, other than that I just think when I saw the match and somebody came in and asked me, was that 6 1/4 stars? I don't know how to say it. If Dave thought it was, so that it was. But for me, it wasn't the best match that I've ever called, in my opinion. I don't really know what it was, but I can tell you that the 3 matches that Flair and Steamboat had in 1989, and I worked all 3 of them with 3 different partners, and which is really an adventure, good adventure. But you can take any of those 3 matches that will compare very favorably to Okada and Omega. 2. I thought Okada Omega 1 in the Tokyo Dome might have been a little bit better match, in my opinion. I think that the magic and the mystique of going 60 got him that extra star. Maybe.
Right. I like both of them. I thought they were awesome. I love both of them. Let me put it that way. And so, man, when you look at the different eras, and I mean, there was a couple of Flair Wyndham matches that were off the charts as well. Just the way the business has evolved, because it's almost like comparing great basketball or great football players from a different era to the current era. In the old eras, just like in the old days, well, when guys were still incorporating high spots with regards to pro wrestling, they almost look in slow motion to what the guys are doing these days. So it's different. It's evolved. It's different. So regardless of that, I mean, they were just fantastic matches. There were parts of the first one I thought that had more sense of urgency with respect to covers that I appreciated from trying to get that 1, 2, 3. And the second one, which was a 60-minute Broadway, was awesome as well, but sometimes lacking a sense of urgency with those covers, and that's being super technical on a tremendous
But psychologically, it's an issue. Subconsciously, you are being told that there isn't a sense of urgency, so this match just doesn't. It may go longer because the hour time limit. I can see that point. You've got to work an hour Broadway no differently than you'd work a 20-minute house show match,
right?
Live event match. You got to have false finishes, and if you don't have false finishes, you're and you're not trying to win, you take a lot of the drama completely out of your presentation. Why don't you try to beat him? You know, are you really, as we would BS, paid by the hour? If you're not paid, if you're paid by the hour, then hey, have at it. Take your time.
But I mean, I love both matches. I think both guys are just super talented, unbelievable, and I've listened to some of the Kenny Omega interviews, and man, that guy's a real deep thinker. He really goes about a process.
He's a good podcast guest. You should get him on sometime. I've had him on a couple of times over the years. He's a very provocative thinker, very forward thinker, and he's very reminiscent to me and indicative of today's wrestler and what they think and how they act and how they perceive the business. And I'm not saying any of this in a negative way. It's just there's a new era and a new wave of thinking, and there are, for us old guys, we've got to kind of be willing to listen to their point of view, because their point of view sometimes is not what we were raised with.
I look at this kid. I call him a kid. I'm 52. He's probably 33, 35 maybe. I think whatever he does, if he stays in New Japan, hands down, he's one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world, in my opinion. If he came to the WWE, if he had any interest in doing so, I think that guy could be the next big thing.
Kenny Omega?
Yes, I do.
Wow. Well, that's high praise. I like his work. You know, in any creative proposition, even in a sports situation, you got to go to the right team. And Kenny Omega, if everybody in the higher powers that be in WWE could believe what you believe and shared your confidence in him, then I would say he would have a chance to be really extraordinary. There's things he can do better. We all can, but he's really a thinking man's pro wrestler without question.
And the thing is, I don't know if it's going to happen. I say he has the potential to be. If he was given the platform just to not be put in a box and be able to do. Go ahead. The
platform is one thing. I agree with you. But when you get on that platform, what do you do with it? What the talent? No, what do you? Because we were talking about this again earlier, that the media and fans and people that share with our interest in social media seem to always, more often than not always, that's overgeneralizing, but more often than not, believe that when there's a malady or a push has gone awry or a talent's not getting over, that it's always a litany of others' fault, but exclude the talent. It's not the talent's fault.
Right.
And I am of the belief, and this is me, and you are the greatest talent of all, so you can certainly we've had disagreements. I believe the talents can take more responsibility of what they do and can have a bigger hand in their career than some of them do. Some of them want to show up here. Where's my sheet? Where's my promo? What am I doing tonight? So you got here and you didn't know what you were doing. That's what you're telling me. So the most important thing you're going to do all week's television, and you didn't know shit about it. You didn't ask a writer. You didn't ask anybody. You just got in a car, in your damn rental car, and you got the TV, and first thing you did before you asked about your creative was you had to go to catering. Brother's got to eat. Well, then brother, go eat. So the platform is one thing, but then if Kenny Omega got the platform, would Kenny Omega be the entrepreneur and the producer, the creator, the writer, the athlete, all combined, like you were, for example, and others that we know, to make it over the top?
Right.
Because if you don't have that in you, the company can't get you over the top by itself. It won't happen.
But I was watching an interview that Triple H did with somebody, and he said, what's the one thing that he's looking for most in a person that he's interviewing with to bring into the company? And the number one thing he said was charisma. Mm-hmm. And when I've seen this kid, I've never met him, but I saw some of his interviews over in New Japan. He speaks fluent Japanese.
Yeah.
He lives over there. And boy, all of a sudden he started lighting up with the Japanese language, but then just speaking in English. He was like a lightning bolt on that microphone.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, here's a guy with seemingly what I'm getting out of my computer screen, watching it online, is just a lot of charisma, right, a lot of presence, and a bigger-than-life personality. Mm-hmm. And he can go like a sumbitch in a ring. So he's got all that. He's been in the business 15 years or better, so he knows all that. He knows how to get over. He can get over if the company's really behind him and gives him that platform. And I think he's a guy that's hungry enough to be on board and to say, hey, I want to be number one. I think that's one of the big reasons. I guess I was listening to one of his interviews with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez. He had unfinished business, as he kind of put it, to do over there. But, I just think it may never happen. He may never go to New York. But just if I look out there, Jim, and say who could be the next big draw,
he's there.
He's at the top of my list. Right. May it happen, or will it happen? Maybe it will and maybe it won't, but that's what I think his potential is. And he's doing tremendous right now. I don't want to say I'm putting him in a box saying you can only be this over in New Japan.
Right.
I'm just saying, man, I see so much in this kid. That's how high I am of him.
I talked to him the last time. I thought he was very mature about WWE, because I asked him point blank, are you going to, my belief, and I told him that my belief is that he would be in WWE someday. He didn't say he wouldn't. Because it just makes sense. If you're a pro wrestler and you don't have the chance, or you take yourself out of a chance to go to WWE at some point in your career, in your productive years, you might be cheating yourself, in my money wise. Here's what you said. Here's what impressed me about this kid. He still has unfinished business to do in New Japan because he has accepted some portion of ownership of his role in that company.
Right.
So being in New Japan to Kenny Omega is important. It's not just about Kenny Omega and his payday, or Kenny Omega and his gimmick sales, or what the Bullet Club does, or blah, blah, blah. A million things. It's about, can he help build the brand that's funding his life right now? And that's what they're doing. And he's taken enough ownership to say, I got unfinished business, I'm going to stay here and try to get this company elevated more. Now, the good news for him as an entrepreneur is that as they are being elevated, so will he, because he's figured in. He's a top guy. So that means when his deal is up in early 2018, as I understand it, that I think he'll be in WWE sometime in 2018. Because as long as the contract status there is, I'm not so sure that guys get long-term deals there in New Japan. And I know at one time all the contracts came due in January, which I found to be absurd. I couldn't even believe that. I said, that can't be true. Can you imagine every contract, all your contracts can be due in a month? You talk about losing a roster.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Yeah, potentially, right? And of course they did. They lost AJ, Nakamura, Gallows, and Anderson, all in January. Didn't renew. That's a pretty good load, man. So those are all good talents. All four of those guys are good talents. I think Anderson and Gallows are a much better team than they've been positioned as being. I think Shinsuke Nakamura, we haven't seen his best yet. And I think AJ Styles may be as good a worker as I've seen in years. He may be the best worker in the world right now. As good as here's how I look at things. I'm a sentimental bastard. Sometimes I say, would the Cowboy book AJ? You damn right. Because he's like Ricky Morton. He can sell and make great comebacks. And he can sell, and he's fundamentally sound. He knows psychology. That's like, I talked to that big Braun Strowman the other day.
Good kid.
North Carolina kid, right?
Yep.
But he's a good-looking boss. Now, there's one you say, would Cowboy like this guy? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Would he like him? God almighty. Ernie Ladd, would Ernie Ladd like this big bastard? Oh, my God. I said, boy, he's got a good feel for the business, and he understands that he's got a great future if you don't do anything stupid. And I thought he and Reigns had a good piece of business the other day on Raw. It was interesting because it was similar to what Joe and Brock did.
Right.
A non-match physicality.
Yeah.
And you got to make them unique, as you know. But when you got 3 hours like they do on Monday, you got to be a little bit flexible. But he's a good kid. There's a lot of those good kids like that. But I like Omega. Back to him, and I think I can't see him not being at WWE next year at some point in time. He owes it to himself before he gets to be 38 or 39 to try.
Well, you got to think about it like this. From a business standpoint, you hit 38, 39, and then you come in on the WWE side, you think, okay, just according to how most of these careers play out. Kind of back in the day, you hit 38, that might be your prime money-making years,
Yep.
But all of a sudden, with that style that he brings, is a little bit different, I think. So I think the window of opportunity kind of starts to close down from a corporate standpoint, from that machine pushing you. They want a longer window of opportunity for you to run strong and, be able to go. And with that push, and you're just going to come over and get over immediately. There's going to be work to be done. You got to figure out that formula. What is it? So that window needs to be larger for the company to invest wholly to say, this is our guy. We're going to run with him because we know he's got 4 solid years in him at least. Or something, something like that. You just can't come in at the tail end and say, okay, I'm here. Well, what you got left? Right. To me, don't you see that?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I think he's got a Fisher Cut bait, and that's why I think 2018 is an important year for Kenny Omega. Anybody listen to this show, and they're Kenny Omega fans, and they've seen his great work lately, and it is great. He is outstanding. He is evolving, and he's improving, but he's got a Fisher Cut bait simply because of the calendar.
Hell, moving on along, let's go back to some WWE action. Kenny Omega, wish you all the best of luck in the world with your careers that unfold. Big fan, love your work. JR just recently, Big Cass, looked like he just decided to go heel on Enzo. I like what I'm seeing out of this guy because when he first came in, just looking at his body, kind of reminds me a little bit of Barry Windham to a degree, and a couple of other guys, not just purely Barry Windham, but just kind of the way he moves. He's pretty graceful for a big guy. Barry was very graceful. But nonetheless, kid has some athleticism to him. Good stature. He's starting to show a little bit of a mean streak now. And that promo he cut on Enzo in the last 2 weeks, the deer in the headlights look is starting to go, and he's getting some more confidence and swagger.